We like to do this thing where we look back at older Magic the Gathering sets, and today we're traveling back to the Warhammer 40K decks that came out, you're not going to believe it, a year ago. It's already been that long. So we're taking a look at these decks. We're going to look at where the price of the non-foil decks are, where the price of the foil decks are, and then we're going to look at some of the cards that have withstood the test of time, cards that might be worth picking up. We are sponsored by Card Conduit. It's one of the best resources for selling Magic the Gathering singles. We're going to talk more about that great sponsor later on in the video. And then we are also sponsored by Dragon Shield. So if you are looking to protect your beloved MTG singles, look no further than sleeves that we have used for more than 10 years, Dragon Shield. Now let's get into Warhammer 40K 1 year later.
Let's take a peek at the wallest of the hammers. The hammerest wall that has ever been fought.
So these decks have taken a big adjustment. The collector's edition ones, anyway.
Yeah, so chat, we're over here at TCG Player. Use our TCG Player affiliate link if you are going to go purchase any cards on the internet through this website, and make sure you use our affiliate link when you do it. We want to take a look at Warhammer 40K over a year after it was released. There was a lot of hype for this set, a lot of hype. And there was a low availability of the decks.
Forced scarcity or whatever.
We call it Faircity, and the world is covered in it these days. Jake, I want to talk about...
Look at it now.
Remember when we found this exact pack right here for $200, and we bought two of them? One for me, and one for you.
That's right.
These are now at $189. Haven't dropped that much, but they've dropped. But I'll say this to my past FOMO and to my future self, 3 of them are sitting right there on that shelf behind me, never been opened.
Exactly.
So here we are. That is where I'm at with those. But the collector's edition, these were even more. 450 now, and they've just been in a steady decline from over $650 a year ago.
Wow, this is the whole set. This is the whole set of 4 collector.
Yes, sir.
Yep. There is definitely something to learn from this, and it is that it does pay to wait on some of these products. Now, is Wizards of the Coast going to turn it around? We'll see. We're going to also see what happens with the economy when the economy starts to recover. A lot of stuff is kind of like hitting a weird kind of spot. This is just like a reflection of people selling their collectibles. Somebody today reached out to me in Discord and said, I just bought one of the collector Warhammer decks for, well, I could go find it, but people are finding deals on Magic the Gathering stuff all over the place. If you can stave off the FOMO, you're looking at a year later, and not only are these readily available, but they're much cheaper than they were.
Much cheaper. The bulk of them are in the 125 to 145 range. You've got the Necron one, which was the most, I think, perceived as the most powerful, perceived as the strongest right out of the deck, and maybe adding the most like powerful pieces that you want for other deck types. Warhammer 40K here. This one now, look at that chart, kind of recovering. Was over $240, dropped as low as $150, and is now sort of recovering back up toward the 180, 190 mark. Got a lot of sales going here for $200 now. 180.
Definitely a recovery from that dip. Maybe some people circling back around to stuff that they missed, and now we're having a little bit of an uptick. But you can kind of see with Doctor Who, for example, it's kind of a similar product, right? You have the Universes Beyond thing. You have a deck that's filled with a lot of foils and that whole kind of thing. Yeah, I would expect any of these kind of products in the future that are similar to this to have, until we see big corrections or any reason to think differently, a lot of downward projection. And yeah, if you hold off, you can strike a nice deal.
This deck in particular, the Ruinous Powers, this one was really ridiculous right out of the box as a playable thing. Obviously your biggest collector one in there is going to be Necron Dynasties, but as I mean, buying the whole set, if this is something that you wanted on your shelf, this is pretty low. And if the trend here matches the trend with the individuals, then this should start to recover as people go in and start picking up the individual ones because they're underpriced and they think they're getting a good bounce deal.
Yeah.
Then the bundle starts going up as a result. It's just kind of cause and effect, dominoes falling. So
every deck here for $112.50, right? That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
449.99 divided by 4.
Yeah.
Nailed it, dude. You may not can read, but you can do math in your head.
I can do some math. So this for me is low risk territory. Could it dip lower? Sure it could. But if you're the kind of person who's like, you know what, I didn't buy those back then, well, here they are. They still exist.
I really actually like this pickup at 450. Somebody mark this and clip it, and you can play it for me in a year when these are $400. But I think that if we were making
near bottom, bottom.
If we were making a what we're buying video today, this would have probably been my $500 level. Is just pick up the 4 set of the collector versions of the Warhammer decks. Because these decks were fun and these decks were strong.
Bro, I feel like these were going for like 800 to like 1,000 for the set when they first came out. Like the hype around this was so insane.
Within a year, it's gone from 700 down to 450.
It's also really interesting how much changes in 1 year, you know? Like we've had so many products come out since, and we see that the variants are just pumping. Someone said in chat, the Surge foils are just not that special anymore. The Doctor Who set has Surge foils all over those collector boosters. There's like 4 or 5 per booster sometimes. It's really interesting. Now we're looking at some of the most expensive cards from the set.
Yeah, you want to see what is driving the price of those individual ones. It's kind of funny. Your top individual Surge foils aren't really the Necron cards. It's not like the cards in that deck. It's the perceived power level. Isn't that so funny? Gearson Starn. Twice. Gearson Starn turned out to be one of the star cards of this set. The Surge foil and the non-Surge foil are both in the top 5 singles prices. Market price on TCG Player. Celestine is a card that I've talked about a ton. It's like a flying jump through some hoops, Sun Titan. And then
we've talked about that card.
We've covered that one a lot. And then Shadow in the Warp. We played this card.
We were high on this card too.
We played this one time. This is from the Tyrannid deck. We talked about this one time. I mean, I played this one time and I was just like, oh, yup. This card is ridiculous.
It is just very strong.
First creature spell you cast each turn is 2 less. 2 is nuts. And opponent casts their first non-creature spell, it just shocks them. So it's burning the world down as we go, getting us to the end. Finish that game off. Not surprised to see Skull Clump here toward the top of the list.
Skull Clump, not surprised at all. That's the foil version there, though.
These are the Surge foils mostly at the top, with the exception of the Gearson Starn deck or card. These Surge foils are going to be the ones that drive the prices. We have another exception down here. You can see Exalted Flamer of Zinch.
And then we also had a card with Miracle that people ended up liking here too, which is pretty interesting.
Triumph of St. Catherine. Yeah, it's a solid creature with the 5/5 lifelink, but then when it dies, you exile it in the top 6, shuffle that pile, put it back on top of your library so you can get another Miracle 5/5 lifelinker for 2 if you play it right.
But even look at that. Geez, $30 down to 18. And I imagine, oh man, yeah, look at those Surge foils. So there is a universe in a world, and I'm sure a lot of people did this, where people bought these decks and then sold Surge foils at insane premiums into the hype, and they profited greatly off of these decks and the FOMO around those cards. And now you're seeing how the market actually reacts to these cards, and you're seeing what's happening with where the prices go based on actual demand. When you have all the new sets come out, people start to gravitate toward you know, whatever's new and stuff. Hope you're enjoying the video. Let me take a brief moment to tell you about our channel sponsor, Card Conduit. If you're an MTG player like me, maybe you have a ton of cards on this table that you need to get rid of. Maybe you just don't have the time, or maybe you have sorted some of your cards. Depending on the amount of work that you've done, you're going to be able to go to Card Conduit and they're going to buy list your stuff for you. There's different levels, like I said, based on the amount of organization that you've already done. But if you're the kind of player who's like maybe looking for an opportunity to, like, maybe you do want to buy one of these Warhammer decks or something like that, but you need to justify it. Maybe you need to sell some cards first. Make sure to visit Card Conduit. You can find the link in the description of the video. Thank you to our channel sponsor, Card Conduit. But, you know, here's one, for example, where I'm like completely wrong. You have a card that kind of started bottoming out and now is having an uptrend here.
It's interesting. This is a 40K quote, y'all. And they shall know no fear is a quote from the game. I don't see how this is reprintable, except with the 40K IP.
This is such a good ability too.
I'm telling you.
Such a strong card.
This is a strong card. I mean, I honestly wish I had grabbed one of these at like the $12 mark.
Well, this is kind of like the thing where people just love redundancy, right?
Right.
This is a heroic intervention in white for sure, creatures of a chosen type.
For sure.
It's fine.
But whatever.
Yeah.
At 2 mana, it becomes playable. Yes, people mostly want hexproof nowadays. But 2 mana, it's a discussion. Yeah, Jank, I do see your point. Jank said it's a quote, but it's kind of a generic quote unless Game Workshop has some kind of copyright on it. That's my question. That's really where it goes. Is like, is this big enough? Is this a big enough part of their IP that they can't reprint it with those words? But,
right.
I mean, we could get a universes within of an individual card from a commander set. That'd be pretty wild. I don't know if they've specifically said those are only going to be secret layer cards, but they shall know no fear is a really good card. Surge foils at 15. The regular non-foil is at $10.50. As you can see, this is one of the cards that people are interested in from this set.
Let's look at the most expensive.
Yeah.
The most expensive on these ended up being
Gearson Star and Surge foil.
So, wow, out of all these foils that came out of all these decks, and remember, the collector's editions were like all foils.
It's all Surge foil.
You can just really see that even with all that hype and everything, a lot of these cards have lost a ton of their value.
Yes.
Now, not saying that like $8 for a card, $9 for a card isn't a big deal.
No.
But I would imagine that every single chart of these cards started out with a big, huge, like, hype price and then has trended down.
Lots of them flaming up. Lots of them, like,
yeah.
It takes a little while for people to find the deck, so it starts hype, goes low because it's not like immediately busted out of the box. Somebody finds a crazy good interaction. Hello.
Yeah.
And then it tanks back down once everybody's attention's off of it, and all the people who wanted to absorb the copies in the market at that time are satisfied.
Yeah, and there's also so many products that formats have to kind of find the card, right?
Oh, yeah, dude.
It's like the players need to, you know, play test the cards. A lot of the time, there's not even enough time for play testing for a lot of these things before the next set comes out and the hive mind has moved on.
I'm telling you, I've got 3 sealed that I don't purchase sealed to sit on shelves. That's not a way I engage with the collectible aspect of this game.
Right.
But I've got sealed boxes over there just because I haven't been able to get to them. I'm with you on that. I like how some of these charts are inverted from what we would expect. It's very interesting. When Chaos Defiler enters the battlefield or dies, for each opponent, choose a non-land permanent that player controls. Destroy one of them chosen at random. It's interesting. I want to, maybe in the future, a couple months from now, do a deeper dive on some of these individual singles and what caused them to spike and then go back down. I like, obviously, you've got your main mana rocks here in Surge foil. $12 for the Arcane Signet. $12 for the Soul Ring from one of the decks.
Oh, wow. Look at how that has been trending up just because I guess people like the art.
Trending back up after a fall. I think a lot of these crashed midsummer is when a lot of these prices have gone down.
Yeah.
And then somebody went back through and said, huh, the reprintability of these, especially with this art, is low. If I'm soaking up surge foils, especially if cards like this, I mean, look at this like sci-fi looking reliquary tower.
Right.
And look at that chart.
Right.
Oh my God, look at this, dude. So many of these cards around the same time of the summer were just like, bye-bye. See you later.
Maybe I'm actually wrong on this, and some of these have started to really trend back up after a year. I guess it has to do with the fact that it really is like difficult to reprint them, maybe. But people in chat were saying that, you know, these decks got reprinted a lot, right?
Yeah. They may still be in print. I can't confirm or deny that they are or not, but I have not explicitly seen from a lot of the accounts that normally tell me when stuff is out of print or like that's not going to be a thing distributed anymore. I haven't seen anything on this one being done.
I guess what we can say about this set then, after looking through a couple of the different charts, and again, if you do decide to pick any of these cards up, not saying that you have to, but if you do decide to pick anything up, then definitely use the TCG player that you can find in the description of this video. It is interesting that maybe we are near bottom if some of these things are starting to trend back up, especially stuff that is notable in Commander, like cards that are already hits, stuff like Skull Clamp, stuff like Reliquary Tower,
Herald
stuff like those kind of cards that have a Warhammer skin on them, I guess is a good way to describe this. Like that Soul Ring, for example, that's trended up from 5. If we are finding near bottom on these cards and people are starting to soak these up, then we might be in a window of probably don't wait much longer. You know,
nothing on this channel is financial advice.
Nothing on the channel is financial advice. But if it is kind of like, you know, I like that art and wow, it used to be $5, but now it's $8. It might just be like, well, you know, it could trend back down to 6,
right?
But it could go up to like 12, or it could go up to 15 in like 6 months. And then you're looking at a card that you could have got for cheaper. But it really just comes down to, does the art speak to you? And a lot of those Warhammer cards are unique to this set. So you can only get them here as of right now.
Yeah, along those lines of not financial advice, just commenting on trends and graphs I'm looking at. It's very interesting to me that these are going down, 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 but the singles are getting soaked up. It's not going to be too long before somebody smart enough to do the math sees where those price singles are going to cross over and delta with the prices of the sealed, and then the sealed's going to follow the same trend potentially. So if you were waiting on these and you're looking at got $500 sitting around burning a hole in your pocket, burning an extra pocket into your pocket,
burning your pocket, burning your hand with the pocket.
Maybe you reach into your little pocket and pull out $500 and snag these and be like, well, this time last year they were $700. What up?
I think it really comes down to if you want to play them or hold them too.
Right.
Because I think it's a fine buy if you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to keep them sealed and see what happens. I think it's like we must be near the near bottom.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to play them as well when you're like itching for foils, then that's fine. Or just go with the one that's under 200 and just get the 4 decks non-foil.
Yeah,
that could be a good way too.
Also individual, if you do want to play with the foils but you want to play, I mean, if you do want to play them but you want to play with the foils, these individual ones are decently priced. I mean,
right,
that Angel Secret Lair deck was like $150, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, from Secret Lair.
Yeah, and that was just a bunch of reprints. there was some really cool new art and some foils, and it's a really good playable deck. Jake and I saw it in action this last weekend. But it's a bunch of not new art reprints in there as well. All these Warhammer decks are completely unique, very unlikely to get printed again. And 125, 137, you can get all three of the four choices are right around that same mark. And then if you really want to go with the Necron one, which is powerful, $200.
Let me take a moment to tell you about Dragon Shield. Dragon Shield is a product that we've been using for more than 10 years. We've been sleeving our Magic the Gathering cards in Dragon Shield sleeves. And it kind of comes down to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Dragon Shield has been really good for us. If you like protecting your cards and if you want the best quality, go with Dragon Shield. Yeah. So for you, Joel, do you think the value is there on these at this point?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wish that I've had a really good time with the Tyranid one. I haven't opened any of the other three yet. We just, you know, I haven't gotten around to it, and or we haven't hit a game night where we just wanted to play those four, so let's open them up and sleeve them up real fast. Sure. But I wish I had not purchased the other three. You know what? The Necron one, it's fine, right? Because the Necron one has always been that like 70, 80 mark. Right now it's about $80. And we did get them all for average $50. And so if you're just buying them individually, we did a good job. But we bought them as a bundle, so we're going to get the bundle reduction. So you got to take that into account as well. And so now it's, you know, $20, $13, $11 less. Not a huge dip. When we talk about prices on this channel, we mostly talk in terms of risk. Is it going to like halve from what the price is right now? It hasn't gone down that too much. I'm not too disappointed. And that's what I'm trying to get at is, if you were waiting on these, it's a good time to pick this up. We're safe. This is a safe pickup right now, not financial advice.
Yeah, it's not just going to all of a sudden bottom out of nowhere and then they're
everything.
Like 30
if that happens,
back,
everything would be doing it, and we'd all be screwed.
If
you want to take a flyer,
been doing it.
Right. If you want to take a flyer on a collectible, this is not the worst flyer idea in my opinion. Not financial advice. And if you just want to pick them up and play with them, this is a safe, low risk play there. Low risk low risk purchase.
Yeah, everybody, thank you. Let us know what you think about these decks. Do you have anything else you want to say about these, Joel, or are you good?
No, I'm interested to see what everybody watching after the fact on YouTube thinks of these, and if they've waited, if they're still going to pick them up, if it's just like, yo, they announced Marvel, so I'm putting all of my dollars toward that in 2 years. I'm saving now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, too.
Maybe that's what they're doing, but it seems like some of these are behaving very interestingly, going up, going down, not following typical trends. So this may be a set that you want to put some attention on before we are too far gone. Wow.
If it's a popular card like Swords to Plowshares, Command Tower,
Swords to Plowshares, if it's something like on it.
Reliquary Tower, Skull Clamp, the cards that EDH already wants, these are unique art pieces that go on these popular cards that give you the 40k skin.